Hey y'all, I'm Jessie and this is Dominic and welcome back to We Seek Summits. We are going through all the oils starting with A and going all the way to Ylang Ylang, trying to open them up. We've got all of our resources here again. I'm going to get into a little bit of the science and chemistry and talk about why you should use basil. Basil oil. That was actually the name of our dog because that was the first thing that she ate as a puppy. So we love basil.
Our basil plants.
Yes. So here is the oil. Basil, and when you open it up and smell it, you will notice that this does not actually smell at all like the sweet basil that we tend to cook with. It's very spicy, very kind of bright, brightening, fresh. It is herbaceous, but yeah, it's not so sweet on the notes. So let's talk a little bit about this. Is sourced from Egypt, and tell us about the chemistry.
It is. So doTERRA has elected to go to Egypt for this oil, and the main reason is it has the chemotype that they're wanting. So
okay, what's chemotype?
So chemotype, so within botanicals, sometimes they'll denote them by their chemotype, and what that is they express, as they grow in nature, more of a concentration of a specific constituent. Mm-hmm. So in this case, the basil that comes from Egypt is higher in methyl carvacol, which is also known as estragol, which is what doTERRA wants. So
it's basically like terroir. You know, you hear about the terroir in the wines, and the wines experience these different little nuances and flavor, which is what makes each one individual and great. And so it's kind of the same with oils, is looking at these different chemotypes. So again, that's a neat note about doTERRA's sourcing, is that they go to the regions of the world in which these are grown naturally, looking for those specific chemotypes because of the way they want them to interact in the body.
That's right. So if you grew basil in a greenhouse or in your backyard, for example, it's going to have a different chemistry than that grown in Egypt or another part of the world. So,
and they also test each batch, every batch that they source, to make sure that it has the desired chemotype, the right chemistry, the chemistry that they're wanting.
That's right. So leaves, stems, whole plant, it's steam distilled. That's how we get this oil. And the two main constituents that we're after for the properties and chemistry of this oil are linalool and electol. So these are both alcohols. About 10 to 15% of the chemistry is alcohols. The balance is predominantly phenols. Mm-hmm. So the difference between an alcohol and a phenol is an alcohol is a hydrocarbon that has a alcohol group, which is an oxygen and a hydrogen on it. And a phenol is the same thing. It's an oxygen and a hydrogen. However, instead of a carbon chain or carbon backbone, it's a ring structure. So that's the difference between an alcohol and a phenol.
When Dominic starts talking like this, I kind of go, okay, what does that mean? And what I got is that phenols kill stuff. All the yucky junk, the bad things in the body, the bacteria and stuff that we don't want to be there, phenols are good at killing those things.
That's right. So maybe as you were growing up, you know, when I was growing up, I had no idea what essential oils were. So if I got a cut or a scrape, my mom would pull out isopropyl alcohol. It's an alcohol. It's a disinfectant. It's going to kill things. So same thing with basil oil. It's all phenols, all alcohols.
Cleansing, yeah.
It's a much better, safer, natural disinfectant.
So this is one that we actually add frequently to a lot of our cleaning products. We use lemon almost all the time, or you could use the On Guard, but we really like the combination of lemon and basil. It smells very bright, very fresh, very clean. So we'll add it to our spray bottle, give it a shake spray like the shower, the kitchen. We'll add it to our dish soap.
Yeah, dish soap especially.
Yeah, so this is a great one for cleansing, also purifying the air. So when you put it in the diffuser, it's another good one for cleansing.
That's right.
Okay, what else?
And then the fact that linalool's in there, so you may recognize that linalool is found in very high concentrations in lavender.
That's, most people know linalool, calming properties.
Yeah, so basil also has those calming properties.
Yeah, and it's an energizer. So here I'm going to go to the emotions book, and I'm going to read just a little bit of this because this is a really neat one. Okay, hold the basil. Okay, so basil and some of its properties, it is the oil of renewal. It can help with the symptoms of adrenal exhaustion, help identify the main moods that improved with basil, for instance, fatigue, low energy, feeling overwhelmed, the inability to cope with life stressors. It's also excellent for states of nervousness, anxiousness, or despair. Basil oil may strengthen the adrenals and help the body restore its natural rhythms of sleep, activity, and rest. Basil oil is also helpful for recovery from negative habits. And that's one of those where basil is, it's not magic, like these oils aren't magic, but what they do is they help our body to repattern and reprocess things the way that they were created to process, the way they were intended to do. So help carving new neural pathways and help blocking negative ones and stuff. So basil's really great for that. That's probably like the linalool stuff. Basil may assist an individual in giving up false stimulants or helping with substance abuse. So if you're trying to kick a bad habit, basil might be a great one to incorporate. And I'm going to go back. So talk about adrenal exhaustion. I think that adrenal exhaustion is something that we all in this day and age struggle with. Like we are overstressed, overworked, we're bombarded with stimulants from TV, traffic, kids, everything. And so supporting our adrenals is really important, really key. I know so many people who struggle with some thyroid issues. So basil is a great one. It's a great oil to add for adrenal support and adrenal cleansing, and again cleansing the body. So
and just a quick note on the adrenals. So your adrenals and your thyroid work kind of opposite each other. So if your adrenals are firing all the time, working all the time, then typically your thyroid is suppressed. So anything you can support, because your adrenals are working so hard, anything you can do to support them, but also the bigger thing is trying to find ways to reduce stress in your life. Whatever that looks like.
So one way that I do this, basil, the taste of it is kind of spicy. This is not one of the most enjoyable ones to just taste. However, I want the benefits of what this oil brings. So this is one that I've actually started incorporating in daily, as much as I remember it. But I'll do a glass of water and I fill the glass halfway, or I might put like a little bit of stevia or a little bit of salt in the bottom. But I fill it halfway, drop the basil in, fill it the rest of the way up so it's kind of all mixed in, and then I'll just chug it down quickly. It's not one that I sip on. I just kind of drink it down, get all the benefits and go.
But in general, I mean, you think basil's an herb, it's part of the mint family. Interesting, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
What makes it a mint is how the leaves grow, kind of opposing and every 90 degrees from each other. But, you know, we cook with basil all the time. We cook with mint, we cook with these herbs. Basil, you lose some of the, I guess, the larger molecules going to the essential oil from the herb, and that kind of takes, like Jesse said, some of the sweetness away. So it is a little more bitter when you actually cook with it. So you want to be careful with that. I don't think you can just add basil oil and, I'm going to get this great taste of fresh basil in whatever I'm cooking. That might apply to dill or, you know, other essential oils pretty well, but basil will bring a
you want to do a
bitterness.
Large pot. And so if you see some of our cooking videos, is I always recommend you use the fresh product or the dried herb and the oil as often as you can, as often as you have both, because you get the benefits of the larger molecules, which are in the fresh product. But then you get the great concentration and the potency of using the essential oils. And so basil is one that you would want to add like to a large pot. Spaghetti sauce, of course, that's what most of us think of, or a large salad. If you're going to make like a whole bottle of your own salad dressing, you could add 1 drop of basil to that. It brings great brightness to it, but it's definitely one, like I said, you want to go for a large batch because of that. It can tend to be heavy dilution on that. Let's see, what else? Okay, so we'll talk about blending while we're talking about spices. So again, I've got my book here. Basil is also an enhancer and an equalizer. So we talked about that in the Arbor Vitae video, that it will kind of help balance your blends. It tends to go really well with lavender, lemongrass, marjoram, peppermint, wintergreen, bergamot, cypress, white fir, geranium, and helichrysum is what the book. That's a really wide variety. So basically basil can kind of blend with a lot of things, get a little bit of something floral in there, get some top notes, get a little bit of like a wood or something grounding, and add basil in. Or you could like make your own little herb, make your kitchen smell like an herb garden and mix it with some lavender and some other herbs.
I like that. We should try it.
Yeah. And then, hang on. I forgot, so I've got my product information page here again, and it's got my little bubbles, and this is showing me that basil is great for aromatic, topical, and internal use, so you can use it all the ways. We talked about that, and it's also safe to apply neat, so you could do a little drop if you want to smell like basil. Okay, did we cover all the things? Let's do some other suggested uses.
Yeah, so talk about adrenal support. But another one I know my wife struggles with are migraines. You want to talk a little bit about how basil can help with migraines? Yeah,
so actually I had a really bad one that kind of knocked me out, because I'll pull my atlas out, which is a little bone right here at the top. And my nutritionist said that it's my thyroid is aggravating that, and it's my adrenals that are aggravating my thyroid. And as we were researching for this video, it was saying Basil is really great for migraines caused specifically from gallbladder, adrenal, and thyroid.
In the liver.
And the liver.
So basically,
yeah.
If you're needing some organ support and the organ distress is manifesting itself as a migraine,
yes,
basil is good.
Which tends to happen, by the way. A lot of skin issues, migraine, headaches, things like that tend to be also related to something else internal. So if you're struggling with any of that, supporting yourself internally and helping support your organs and cleanse your organs should benefit, should help. What are some other uses?
Well, going back to the chemistry, the alcohol and the phenols, bites and stings. So I think.
Go. I forgot about that one. That was a great one.
Yeah. So any kind of insect bite, wasps, bees, things like that. Grab some basil, and that's gonna
it's
help.
a great anti-inflammatory in that sense.
Yeah, calm that sting down.
Cameron actually got stung by a wasp. We immediately put some lavender on it. I went and looked it up, and it said cider vinegar, basil, and lavender. We were dabbing that on, and within an hour, it looked like a freckle. Like it was, I mean, it was gone. So yeah, basil's a great one.
It's also really good for cramps and muscle support. So menstrual cramps or just fatigue.
Yeah, hey, men don't pay attention, but women, for your menstrual cramps, basil might be a good one to try. You weren't supposed to.
Well.
Okay, men talking about menstrual cramps, y'all.
Thanks for jumping in.
He's like, I'm just gonna leave it there. Also, no, I'm gonna do this one. For nursing mamas, if you're struggling with supply, you don't have to talk about supply. If you're struggling with supply, basil might be a great one to add in, or fennel, basil and fennel. Dry it for like 10 days, rub it on topically, and see if that'll help increase the supply. Peppermint can help decrease the supply, so depending on what you're needing, you can.
I wasn't going to talk about that one. The one I was going to mention was earaches. So,
earaches.
When our kids were little, they struggled a lot with earaches, and unfortunately, we didn't know this back then. But basil, again, that disinfectant.
Yeah. And
what antimicrobial.
Yes, high antimicrobial. And what I love is like just that freedom. I mean, the whole idea of this is empowering you to use your oils and to have the resources around you. So one of the examples I use all the time is like, your baby starts fussing in the middle of the night and doing this thing and a little bit warm and you don't know what to do and you're like, should I take him in? You go downstairs, or if you have them upstairs, and you grab your basil, or if you have Melaleuca, or you grab Purify, and you rub it right on, and you do that a couple of times, and then just see. But it gives you the freedom to try and handle those things on your own, in the middle of the night, take care of that, and hopefully relieve a lot of your baby and your kiddos'
and just a reminder,
discomfort.
with infants especially, just dilute that oil in like coconut oil, fractionated coconut oil.
Yeah.
Rub it near their ear, not in the ear, just around and near, and it's a great self-care kind of first step to do. Yeah,
definitely, and kind of continued. Essential oils work best used preventatively and consistently. So if it's something particular that you're struggling with, or like I said, doing it kind of daily for yourself, or if it's something like your child's rubbing their ear, doing it every couple hours would be good. doTERRA does have it's in some of their blends. I pulled out, this is the Motivate blend, which we actually, right before we do this, to motivate us to do this video, Dominic and I both kind of rubbed it on right here. This one that we're showing here is the pre-diluted touch roller bottle, which is already recommended for kid use. It's diluted to a proper amount. It's proprietary blend, so they won't tell us the amounts. But that's good to go. So if you need a little bit of motivation, you'd use it. I think you have it in your work bag?
Yeah, I take it to work with me when I just need to sit down and write a report or something, some extra motivation.
Yeah, or there's that basil has those enhancing and energizing properties. It is also in the past tense tension blend. So again, we were just talking about that head tension. So you would just roll this right on there. You could also do your pulse points. And I would make a suggestion that, again, talking that head things tend to also be gut things, is that you could also use Digest Zen or the digestive blend, and I would roll that on here if I was struggling with something as well. And basil, again, the anti-inflammatory properties, so it's also in the Aroma Touch massage blend. So,
yeah.
All right, any other suggested uses? We're talking about cleaning.
No, I think we covered it all.
Oh, the cooling, the muscles. One more quick one. Okay. The basil, again, it's good for muscles and massage and stuff, but if you're out working out on a hot day or at a game, it helps cool the body, cool the muscles down, so you can make yourself like a little spray bottle and you just spray it on your legs or whatever hurts, and it'll help It'll help the recovery.
It's a good one, yeah.
Okay, I think
Good.
that's it. And we will, I don't know, we really hope you guys comment and tell us ways that you're using basil. And again, we love ideas for diffuser recipes and blends and stuff. So create your own blends and customize.
Yeah, and definitely subscribe to our channel. We're going to keep doing these every week.
Every week.
these
Next
spotlights.
week is, we're going to answer the age-old question. Is it bergamot or bergamot? So, we'll find out next week. Thanks, y'all. Oh, it's going?
Yeah.
Oh. Hang on, let me finish picking my ear.
Don't worry, I'll put that in the bloopers at the end.